Hello and good morning. Hello and good morning. Welcome to AM Language. Sorry, I am 5 minutes late. I had a camera problem with my computer, but it's now working. So I'm just going to share the video and we can begin. Let's see. Let's scroll down to... Okay, so the lesson is now shared. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. And once again, I do apologize. I am sorry I'm late. Yiseth, good morning to you as well. I hope you're all doing well. Today is a lovely day outside. It's a lovely day today. Good morning, Marcella. Thank you for joining. Jorge, thank you very much for joining. Thank you. Good morning to you. Yes, today is a beautiful day. It's the sort of day where you would want to be outside, maybe even go to the beach. It's that sort of day in Malta. I think at some point today, I will want to go onto my balcony or something like that and enjoy the sun for a little bit. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Joaquin. Good morning, Joaquin. Thank you very much for joining us. I believe you are currently in Spain, is it? I might be mistaken. And good morning, Irina. Thank you very much for joining. So yes, like I said, guys, I do apologize. I am 5 minutes late today. Unfortunately, I had a little problem with my camera this morning. Joaquin, yes. Okay, very good. Yes, you are currently in Spain. I hope you're all well. I hope you're keeping well. Katerina, good morning, Katerina. I hope you're well. Yes, I hope all of you are keeping well as your friends and family. So, we are currently on Unit 12. Now, at the end of last lesson, we just finished on page 106. Good morning, Oksana. Thank you very much for joining. So today what we will do is we'll just go over one or two things over these 2 pages. We'll just make sure, and then from there, we'll move on to page 108 and 109. In today's lesson, we will also have a little look at some more new language, which is related to the topic of the older generation. There is an article that we can read, and what we'll do here is, if you do have the, just let me know in the comment section if you have a copy of page 108. What we can do is we can just simply go through and we can look at where what the idea of the article is, and then from there we can move on and we can look at some grammar as well. So let's have a little look to begin with. So at the end of last lesson, we were looking at some new. We looked really at just question 1 on our in what day? On Monday. Yes, that was it. So on Monday afternoon, we were looking at page 106, and we just looked at question 1, but we were really trying to develop our ability to use this range of different vocabulary. We looked at words like creative, intense, loyal, sensitive, bright, calm, ambitious, charming, competitive, direct, diplomatic, and modest. Now, what we then at the end, we just looked a little bit at that's like, for example. So before we move on, we'll just have a little look, a little reminder of these 2 things, and then we'll move on to the older generation. So Let's have a little look. If we, I just want to quickly see how many of you can remember some of this language. So what we'll do is we'll go with the, if I recall, we were looking a little bit at Harry Potter as well, like certain characters like that. So what I'd like you guys to do for me is I'm just going to ask you guys just to give me an example, one example of a few of these words, just so we can say, yep, okay, we're good. We can move on to the next thing. So if some of you can just give me an example of, let's say, maybe a person you know who is competitive. So if in the live chat section, if some of you could just give me an example of someone who's competitive, that would be great. And then we'll just do maybe one or two other words, and then we'll move on to look at all the other things that we would like to look at today. So if some of you could just give me an example of a sentence with the word competitive. Maybe you would like just to give an example, maybe of a person, a famous person, or a character from somewhere. Mantilla. Good morning, Mantilla. Thank you very much for joining our lesson today. So yes, in fact, what I'll do is you could give me a choice. You don't need to go with competitive. If all of you could just pick one word from up from the question one, and if you could just give me an example of how you would use that word and what person or character you would relate that to. So you might choose charming, you might choose competitive, you might choose modest, diplomat. Maybe you want to talk about diplomatic. Maybe you want to talk about yourself. Maybe you would like to choose one of or two of these words to describe yourself. So as soon as some of you give me an idea of an example of how you would use some of the words in question one, that would be great. You've got your choices are creative, intense, loyal, sensitive, bright, calm, ambitious, charming, competitive, direct, diplomatic, modest. If I were to describe myself, I would say I try to be diplomatic. So, Irina, thank you very much. Cristiano Ronaldo is competitive. Yes, I'm happy with that. That's a good example. Would anyone else like to give me a different, another example, maybe of themselves? Yoga, Hussein Bolt is very competitive. Yes, he always want to win. Wants. Don't forget the S in wants, because you're talking in the third person. So he always wants to be first. He always wants to be first, and then that would be good. Oksana, Trump is competitive. Trump is certainly competitive. I think Trump is a few things. It would be totally honest. Okay, good. Well done. I'm happy with that. Let's move on. So we then wanted to have a little look at, let's see, Marcella. Hello, good morning, Marcella. My daughter is competitive. She often is awarded. Okay, you just need to finish the sentence. She often is awarded. She is often awarded a prize. In this case, you want to go verb to be. So you go, she is often awarded a prize, for example. Notice the adverb. You have your verb to be plus adverb of frequency. That's what type of adverb it is, plus your next verb, whatever it might be. In this case, passive verb in your case. Okay, guys, thank you very much. And Marcella, thank you for joining us. So on page 107, in this case, we were looking briefly had a look at that's like. So what we can do is we can continue and just develop that. Joaquin, we need to be creative in quarantine days. We need to be creative while in quarantine. Okay, so the reason why this is going to have to be while is because you need to be creative while you are in quarantine, because these are two actions happening at the same time. Being creative and being in quarantine are two actions that are happening at the same time. So when you have two actions that happen at the same time, we need to link them with the word while. Okay, with the word while. So you could say we need to be creative while it creative. I forgot how to spell creative while in quarantine. So that's how you would use it. Oksana, most politicians are ambitious. Yes, most politicians are certainly ambitious. That's definitely the case. I would not disagree with you there. Okay, so let's have a little look on page 107. Here we're going to look at that's like. Now, I only spent maybe 2 minutes on Monday. In Monday's lesson on this. So let's have a little look. Oh, that's like. Okay. So here we're looking at that's like. Now, that's like is a little bit like saying that's just like. That's a bit like. So that's just like means there's a lot in common. That's like. There's a good amount of things in common, and that's a bit like means that there are some things in common. So here we've got to, so for example, you would say, okay, Jorge, you've come out with Bill Gates is a modest person. He wants to help other people with his fortune. That's a really good sentence. So for instance, if we take that, you could say Bill Gates is a modest person. He wants to help other people with his fortune. That's like, and now we can think of someone else. So that's like, let's see, can we think of another famous person who likes to give a lot of money away? I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me out here. Can you think of another famous person who is quite wealthy, who likes to give a lot of money to causes, trying to help people? I'm sure that there must be. I can't think of certain people. Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, so let's say, for example, maybe that's a good example. Bill Gates is a modest person. He wants to help other people with his fortune, which is like, or it's like, or that's like Mark Zuckerberg. So in this case, we would go with which is like, or that's two different conversations. So let's go with that. Let's go with that example. Bill Gates is a modest person who likes to help people with his fortune. So that could be person A. Okay, so this is a conversation. So then person B would say, that's like Mark Zuckerberg. He does that. He does that as well. So that's how we would use this in a conversation. That's person A and person B. So Bill Gates is a modest person who likes to help people with his fortune. Person B, Ah, that's like Mark Zuckerberg. He does that as well. Now, if you want to use the comparison within the same sentence, we can't use that's like. We now have to use which is like. So, for example, this is the difference. So, Bill likes to. Bill is a modest person and likes to help people with his fortune, which is which also is also the case for Mark. Now, what I have introduced you to here is something that's not in the book, but it's just a better way of writing it. So if you want to compare two things together with the same meaning of like that's like this, that's like that, you can go with which is also the case for. So that's like, and which is also the case for. This is a little bit more formal, but it's better English. And it's better when you use this in writing as well. This is when you link two ideas together, which are very similar. You've got a few examples, which is also the case for. You could also use which is similar, which is which can, yeah, which can also be said for Mark as well. That's your other alternative. So you're saying that do are two people are similar in some sort of way. They both do similar things. So if it's a conversation, person A, Bill Gates is a modest person who likes to help people with his fortune. Person B, oh, that's like Mark Zuckerberg. He does that as well. Option two, if you want to put the same comparison together, instead of breaking up into two sentences to make one sentence, you can use this term, which is also the case for. So, Bill is a modest person who likes to help people with his fortune, comma, which is also the case for Mark, which is also the case for Mark. So I'm going to give you an opportunity here before we move on to the actual exercise. I should say that this is I'm taking you I'm a little bit of the book and something a bit more than the book. So you're getting two little bits. We'll start off with the first activity. What I would like you to do is I say, Marcella, Mexican food is spicy like Turkish food. Yes, you can say that. That is perfectly fine. Um, there's nothing wrong in saying that, Marcella. That is perfectly good English. You can do that. You can say that. So let's try this activity. You're going to have person, you're going to write two sentences for me, person A, and then you're going to write person B. We're going to start off with that's like, okay? The two people I want you to talk about, we'll go with something easy. Ronaldo and Messi. So you're talking about a quality that both Ronaldo and Messi might have, such as maybe competitive or ambitious, for example. And what I would like you to do is I'd like you to write person A, something like Ronaldo is competitive. Person B, oh, that's like Messi. He's also competitive. Jorge, where can use like or as? Oh, when can we use like, or do we have to use as? If you use as, Mexican food is spicy as a Turkish food. Okay, no, I see what you're going for here. This is slightly different. You're saying that they are the same level. In this case, you use Mexican food is just as spicy as Turkish food. Just as. That's what you're going for there, Jorge. You're going for a linker called just, which is just as. You're saying that two things are equal. They're just as. So let's see. Irina, Ronaldo has a good command of the ball. Yes, it's just like Messi. He is also a master. Excellent, Irina. So that's a really good example. Well done there, Irina. That's a good way of using it's just like. Brilliant. Well done. Okay, guys. So if you're looking for a good example with your own version, look at. I would say take a look at Irina's example here. It is a good example. Jorge, just to go back to your question, yes, you've got this just as. That's when you're saying one thing and another thing is equal. You're comparing them, but you're saying it's just the same. So Mexican food is just as spicy as Turkish food. Greece is just as sunny as Malta. Shanghai is just as polluted as Beijing. You're saying two things are equal in that sense. Okay, guys, we're off to a good start here. If no one has any more examples, we'll just see how you guys can use another example. Okay. Marcelo, Ronaldo is competitive. It is just like Messi. Good. Yeah. That's the way you would write it when you split the sentence up into two separate sentences. Marcella, that's a good example. Well done. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the next task that I want you to do. Now, I would like you guys to link the two together. So, for example, Ronaldo is Ronaldo is competitive, as is which. What linker did I use before? Ronaldo is competitive, which is also the case for Messi. Ronaldo is competitive, which is also the case for Messi. Or Ronaldo is competitive, which can also be said for Messi. Okay, so in this case, we're looking at which is also the case or which can also be said for. So this time around, I would like you to use this linker, which can also be said, or which is also the case, What I would like you to do is I'd like you to compare, let's say, I think the two people I would like you to compare will be, let's go with Harry Potter and what's her name? Okay, here we go. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to compare Harry Potter and Hermione. I'd like you to pick one of the adjectives, for instance, such as maybe bright or maybe, I don't know, creative, I don't know. So have a go this time. I'd like you to write one sentence. I'd like you to link the comparison together, this time using which can also be said or which is also the case. My example, for example, is Ronaldo is competitive, which is also the case for Messi, or Ronaldo is competitive, which can also be said for Messi. So this time, I'd like you to create a sentence talking about both Harry Potter and Hermione. You can use the adjectives either bright or creative, for example. And I'd like you to link two things together. I'd like you to link them together. So you might say something like Harry Potter is ambitious, which is also the case for Hermione, for example. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to put these into one sentence using these linkers, and then we will have a go at doing the activity. Like I said, what I'm teaching you here is not in the book, but I feel it is a good thing to know how to do, because when it comes to writing, this is the better thing to do in writing. When speaking, you can get away with breaking your sentences up. When writing, it's a little bit different because in English, we don't write the way we speak. We have to write a little bit differently, and therefore it's important to know these structures. Snowboard is a sport of snow, which is also the case. Ooh, I like what you've gone for here, Joaquin. Snowboard, first of all, okay, what you're trying to write is snowboarding. Snowboarding, skiing, always ing. Snowboarding is a winter sport. This is what we would do. I can see why you'd go with a snow sport, but it's actually called a winter sport, which is also the case for skiing. So what I want to say here is, Joaquin, what I'm really happy is that you used the target language correctly. So well done there. You got the target language spot on. Excellent. Just remember, when you're talking about a winter sport like snowboarding and skiing, you need the ing. This is we always refer to it as a winter sport rather than a snow sport, for example. But I really like that. I like what you were trying to do with that sentence, and you got the linking language perfect, which is really important. So well done, Joaquin. Really good effort. That's a point, guys. Let's see if anyone else would like to have a go at using this linker. Like I said, if you know how to use this linker, this is a better type of language to use when writing, especially when writing. If you're speaking, it's useful, but this is the better alternative when writing. You're welcome, Joaquin. But yeah, I mean, sport is always a good one to compare. Same with food, same with if you try to compare ideas. So Irina, teachers are very diplomatic, which can also be said for about all smart people. Okay, first of all, first part of the sentence, well done. The linker, which can also be said for, well done. The only thing is you don't need about. You don't need to put for about all smart people. You can simply go, which can also be said for all smart people. I cannot think of an example off the top of my head, because I have no doubt there probably is an exception. But usually, if you go for as your preposition linker, you don't need to add another preposition, especially about. It's very, very rare. I cannot think of an example off the top of my head. This is for about. No. I mean, that's a very, very, that linker is very, I cannot think of an example. Now, I have a feeling that there probably is a context where you might be able to use it, but generally speaking, we do not put two prepositions together like that. So for your sentence, Irina, 90%, well done. That's a really good sentence. If you just take about out, it would have been 100%. Really well done. Jorge, the cake of the bakery at the corner. Oh, okay, you've taken it away. All right. Okay, guys, you guys are doing really well. Okay, here we go. he cake of the bake. Okay, the cake. I remember you had written that as the cake. So the cake of the bakery at the corner is very good, which can also be said for the cake that my wife bakes. Whoa, Jorge, the cake of the bakery at the corner is very good. Cake at the bakery at the corner is very good, which can also be said for the cake that my wife makes. Jorge, that's a really good sentence. Well done. Very well done. Um, I mean, if I were to be my only question mark, I think it's just the preposition at the corner, because usually would say a bakery on the corner. Having said that, I'm not going to actually pick up on that too much because everything else about that sentence is really, really good. And you've used the link up well. So I'm not going to get too worried about the preposition at the corner. Usually we're going to use on the corner, but well done. What a fantastic sentence. Well done, Jorge. Very good. My friend are very directly, which can also be said for about all my friends, which can also be said for all. Okay, Rosa, first of all, you've used the linker correctly. So well done there. Just one or two things we just need to change. So because you're talking about more than one friend, you need the S. So my friends, my friends. Unless if you're talking about one friend. I think in the first part, you're talking about one friend, actually. So my friend is very direct. We're going to go with the adjective instead of the adverb here, which can also be said for all my friends. Okay, so Rosa, you did well here. I can understand what you're saying. You used the linker properly, so well done there. You just need to change you just need to have to think about your plural s, when you need your plural s, when you don't need your plural s. And don't forget, in the first bit, you need to use the adjective direct instead of the adverb directly. But other than that, well done and good attempt. Marcella, my daughter is bright and creative, which is also the case for my son. Really good there, Marcella. That's an excellent sentence. The only thing is, I would say, and this is normal. This happens a lot of the time when we use which to link two parts of a sentence, sentence together. We together. We often need a comma. So you just need a comma after creative, but excellent sentence, really well done. Okay, guys, I'm impressed and I'm happy here. We don't have a we don't have we don't have a whiteboard or anything like that, but you guys are doing a fantastic job. Really good. Well done. I'm really am quite impressed. Well done. So let's have a little look at the next thing. Now we're going to have a little look at number 9. So we're just going to go back to what is in the book at the moment. We've done something more than what you'd find in the book, which is actually better for your English. But let's now look at number 9. Actually, what's the time? 34. Actually, you know what? I tell you what, guys, in your spare time, feel free to do question 9 if you want to. But from what I have seen already, I think this will be all right. I tell you what, we can quickly do it. We'll do it, and then we'll move on to the next page, where we'll just have a little look at used to, would, and the past simple. So in number 9 over here, guys, what I'd like you to do is we just need to match sentences 1 to 6 with the comments A to F. So here, for example, number 1, it says, he never does anything around the house. And then we would have to look down A, B, C, D, E, F, and we have to find the example. So 1 would go with E. So 1 would go with E for question 9. Okay, question 9. 1 goes with E. He never does anything around the house. Ah, that's just like my sister. She's really lazy too. Okay. So that would be the case over there. We'll do another example together. 2. He's only 3, and whenever he sees me, he runs up and gives me a big hug. It's so sweet. That's like my cousin. He finds it quite hard to make new friends. That's like my brother-in-law. He's very intense. Oh, yeah, probably F. Oh, hello, Sandra. Yes, F. 2 is with F. So 2 goes with F. 2 goes with F. Yep, well done, Esef. 2 goes with F. Okay, so you get the idea. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Actually, we'll do 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll move on to the next page. So, guys, what do you think the answer is for number 3? Let me know now in the live chat. He's so serious. All he ever talks about is politics. You can never just have a laugh with him. What do you think 3 goes with? Three goes with B. Yes, Eseth. 3 does go with B. Well done. Number 4. Irina. Yep, 3 goes with B. Number 4. She just lets her son do whatever he wants. She really spoils him. Jorge, yes, B. That's correct with the previous one. So she just, number 4 here, she just lets her son do whatever he wants. Okay, so Katerina, you have done all of them. Let's see. So you've said 4 goes with D. That's a bit like my friend. That's a bit like a friend of mine. He never says no either, and his kids are really naughty. You're all going for D, and I can tell you that you are all correct. Yes, 4 does go with D. Let's see, 5. Number 5. She's very shy. She's not very good with people. Katerina, you went with A. That's a bit like my cousin. That's like my cousin. He finds it quite hard to make friends. Do you guys agree with Katerina? Is 5, does 5 go with A? Does 5 go with A? Sandra thinks so, Yeseth thinks so, and you're all correct. Yes, 5 does go with A, which means finally 6. She works really hard, and she's very focused and ambitious. Okay. Now, Katerina, you said C. Well, it's going to have to be C because it's the only one that's left. But it is the correct answer as well. So 6 goes with C. Okay, guys, well done. So from here, we will now move on to the next page. And on the next page, we've got 108 and 109. We have some grammar that we'll have to look at. If we don't have enough time to look at it properly, don't worry. We'll look at it in our next lesson, because we've got one more lesson this week. And in that lesson, what we'll do is we'll concentrate on building our a bit more range of our vocabulary when we're talking about our relationships, as well as looking at some grammar as well. So if whatever we don't do this lesson, we'll continue doing the next lesson, which is why I'm choosing to do 3 lessons this week instead of just the 2. If I quickly look at when our next lesson is, just to remind everyone, our next lesson, intermediate lesson, is tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. Okay. So on page 108, we've got the older generation. What we first need to do is we just need to look at question 2. And here we just need to look at we've got 8 words that we just need to know how to use. And it's mainly for the reading. Okay. So you've got career. Oh no, I've lost the page. Career. So we've got career, which simply means your career. The best way to describe your career is the history and future direction of your working life. So, for instance, if you are a doctor, your career is in medicine. If you are a lawyer, or if you go into law, then your career is in law. As a teacher, my career is in education, and therefore my job roles will be to do with education, for example. Now, people have lots of different jobs and in different fields in their career as well. It's not unusual to see people have 2 or 3 different careers during their working life as well. You have some people who started off in education, then they move to the business world, and then they finish off in a completely different, maybe travel industry. Who knows? So that's what a career is. You then have something called a wrinkle. Or someone who's wrinkly. Now, wrinkly is if your skin becomes wrinkly. This is what happens when you get older. It's basically your skin begins to fold, and you have lines growing on your face. For example, maybe around your eyes. If I do this, okay, this is a wrinkle. I'm doing this, it's creasing. So if my normal face in the future, when I'm old, I will have wrinkles because you always see lines, and that's wrinkly. Childcare. Childcare is simply looking after children. That is a noun, by the way. Indulgent. Okay, you've got indulgent. E.g., what would be a good example of using the word indulgent? Children are indulgent. It's an adjective. To simply put, if you're using the word indulgent, it means, I mean, a synonym would be is spoilt. What can that spell? Yeah, spoilt. Hyoge, in certain contexts, I would say permissive is not a bad synonym either. I think, in fact, in many situations, you could use the word permissive. So some people could be too spoiled, too permissive, too indulgent. It basically means too relaxed when it comes to trying to keep order with people, such as children. So you could be too indulgent with your children. This basically means, let's say, you don't just get them a birthday present. You have to get them lots and lots of birthday presents. Actually, there's a program in America. There was a program in America. I don't know if it's still on. It's called Sweet 16. Sweet 16 birthday or something like that. Now, for 16, for your tolerant, yeah, but you would say probably too tolerant of their behavior, Sandra. So, for example, in this program, Sweet 16, for their birthdays, instead of getting, I don't know, like a PlayStation or something, their parents go and get them an $80,000 car. That's indulgent. That's spoiling someone. That's ridiculous. It's being, what you say, it's to be stupid with money. Stupid with money. Okay. So that would be indulgent. Another one you can use, I suppose, there's a few words we could use here. The verb is indulge. So you can over indulge someone. So the adjective is indulgent, the verb is indulge. And the preposition is over. So you can overindulge someone. This just means you give them far too much, far too much. You know, I mean, it's like if you go to, it's like when you watch these American films. Sometimes people at high school, and you see someone drive and come to school in a Ferrari, for example. That's overindulged, really. A pipe. Basically, think of Lord of the Rings, Gandalf. Active. This means, if you're active, it means people still do some exercise, sport, and they still do things. You can be active physically and active with your mind. Sacrifice simply means to give up something. And discipline. If you're disciplined, to be disciplined, discipline. Okay, no, in this case, if I am thinking of what this word means in this context, I think it's going to mean something a bit different than what I originally thought. Okay, discipline. In this case, yeah, this is going to be the noun. And I mean, it can be a verb as well, to be honest. You need to discipline as well. You've got the verb, so it can be a noun or a verb, depending on how you use it. And this means to make people follow rules in some sort of way. Rules. Okay. Now, what you would then have to do is you would have to look at the reading, and you would have to try and you would have to check the understanding of these words, which are from the article you are going to read. Then you would need to work in groups and discuss which words you associate with the grandparents and explain your ideas. So you would then have to read the article, and you would have to link these words. What I invite you guys to do is see if you can do this for your homework, see if you can complete this activity here. Okay, you've got some blanks over here. So you need to follow the idea. For instance, you've got the instructions in number 3. So here you would need to read the article and find out what reasons the writer gives to explain why she's struggling with her new role. 2, how she feels about being referred to as a granny and why. So here, that's what you're going to have to do, and you are going to come across some of these words in the box, which will help you understand the task as well. In fact, you can see the synonym here as well. So in paragraph 2, over here, you've got a synonym for indulge, because you can see spoil, for example. So spoil and indulge, that would be a synonym of each of the two words. You've got discipline over here. This is in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got discipline in paragraph 5. So checking these words will help you understand the paragraph. But I'd like you guys in your, maybe, and we can check it tomorrow at the start of the lesson tomorrow. Maybe if you want to do exercise 3, for example, that can be part of your homework. Now, we've only got 10 minutes left. So let's move on. And we're going to have a look at number 8 and the grammar. Now, guys, just in case, you guys probably are thinking, when it comes to these lessons, we are missing out a lot of questions. I am aware of that, and I hope by tomorrow I have some information of how we can tackle some of the questions that we will have missed. So I haven't forgotten about the various questions that we have not looked at in the book. So we will find an opportunity in some way to look at them as well. So if you guys can have a look at page 109, please look at page 109. You've got question 8. Here we're looking at used to, would, and the past simple. Now, by doing this first, when you comes back to looking at the reading, it will probably help you with the reading. But here you've got, look at these sentences from the article. Answer the question below. You've got words in bold. So you've got, he often smoked a pipe. I used to love the smell of the fresh tobacco. I'd sometimes even open the tin when he wasn't there to smell it. After he died, Gran moved to a town by the seaside, and we'd go and visit her each summer. She was old, white-haired, and wrinkly. And then it's got a few things for you to look at. 1, which forms in bold show a habit or regular event in the past? 2, do you know how to form the negative of used to? 3, which forms are used to talk about a past stage, such as having or living and being? And 4, which form do we use to talk about single events in the past? So let's have a little look at that. Okay, he often smoked a pipe. If you use this term, okay, so we'll go with 1. So A here, okay. Okay, this is a past event. It's actually a past habit. So in this case, this as we're talking about a past habit, this is something that would happen on a regular basis. So this was a regular action. So we can see that number 1 here, A goes with 1. A goes with 1. So it's a past. It's something that happened in the past. It's an action that probably happened quite a bit, and it's a past habit. So he often smoked a pipe. Now, my granddad often smoked a pipe. So this is a past action, and it's a past habit. B, I used to love the smell of the fresh tobacco. I'd sometimes even open the tin when he wasn't there. So I'll write that. B. Okay, keeps on doing that for me. B. I used to smoke. Sorry, I used to love the smell of the fresh, the fresh tobacco. I'd sometimes even open the tin when he wasn't there to smell it. Okay. First of all, here we're using this used to. So I used to love. So here we're talking about a past action that you enjoy doing. So this is something that you would do. This isn't a single event. So I used to, which one does this go with? So which forms are used to talk about a past state, such as having, liking, and being? So I used to love the smell of tobacco. I'd sometimes even open the tin when he wasn't there. Okay, so this is still one, actually. So this one goes with, so this one here, you've got two answers actually for B. B goes with one because you're talking about a past habit I used to love. But then you've got the negative here, which I used to talk about the past state. Open tin when he wasn't there. This is going to be two as well. So B goes with one and two. Goes with one and two. Oksana, you've said three. Let's see. Which forms are used to? Which forms are used? Which forms are used? Not used to. This is a tricky one. It's not used to, or this is not used to as in the past. This is passive. Are used to talk about a past state, such as having, liking, and being. Actually, we could even link it with three, actually, come to think of it. The reason being is that here, which forms are used to talk about past states, such as having, liking, and being. Here in number two, I would sometimes even open the tin when he wasn't there. I used to love the smell. There's still a lot of connection with number three. So that B can be linked with 1, 2, and 3 potentially. I'm going to look that up actually for next time, because I can see how it can be linked to all three of them. C, after he died, Gran moved to a town by the sea, and we'd go and visit her each summer. Number 4, C goes with 4. After he died, a single event. Gran moved to a town by the seaside. Single event. So this is why C goes with 4. And finally D. She was old, white-haired, and wrinkly. I suppose D, in some ways, is talking about a description of some kind. So D actually goes with 3. Yes, Holger, 4 goes with C. D goes with 3. D goes with 3. If they can only go with 1 each, if they were to only go with 1 each, then you would say A goes with 1, B goes with 2, C goes with 4, and D goes with 3. That would be that would be the case. Those would be the answers. If you can only link one answer to each of them, A would go with 1, B would go with 2, C would go with 4, and D would go with 3. Now, at the start of next lesson, what we'll do is we'll go over this. We'll have a good look at how to form this language in further depth. So tomorrow afternoon, I will spend time going into depth with examples of how to create this ourselves. So what you guys can do between now and tomorrow, read the article, answer question 3, and read the article. We now know the answers over here for this one. And tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will go into detail in terms of how you guys can actually create this language yourself. So today, what you guys can do is look to see how it's used in the text and build up your understanding of the time. What are you talking about here? So today, see if you can build up your understanding. And tomorrow, I will dedicate time in the lesson to help you guys use this, actually produce this language yourself, know how to produce it yourself. So I will look at doing that tomorrow. In tomorrow's lesson, I will also spend time looking at the grammar side of things, of how to express regret using the word wish as well. So tomorrow's lesson is at 4 o'clock for intermediate students, and I will spend time going into the grammatical side of things. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining, coming along to today's lesson. You've been really great. I really appreciate you guys coming on and having a go in the live chat section. I mean, I'm really impressed with what some of you guys were able to do with some of the activities today. I think what is more is, despite not having a whiteboard and we're doing this online, I think some of you guys are actually doing really, really well. So thank you very much, because you're all working whenever you guys come on here, you seem to work very hard, and you really put in a very good effort. So thank you very much. In the meantime, have a really good day. I will be back later. I will be back at 2 o'clock today. 2 o'clock is going to be upper intermediate. Let me just check what the timetable is for the rest of the day. So today, that's a point, it's Wednesday. So today at 2 o'clock, it's upper intermediate and IELTS. That's at 2 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock today, there will be a pronunciation lesson, and this is for all levels. So please join me at 4 o'clock today for a pronunciation lesson. Think of the type of pronunciation and things that you struggle with. Feel free to ask me. I'm going to go through certain individual sounds and connected speech. I have some ideas that I'm going to cover with you, but if you have any questions, please ask me in that lesson. So I will see some of you later today, some of you at 2, and then hopefully many of you at 4 o'clock as well. So thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon. To all of you who participated in today's lesson, thank you very much as well. And for everyone who has watched, thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Please like and share the video, and I'll see some of you later. Bye for now.